students are gone, but you are still here. And we know how you feel because you are done. But you have so much work to do to get ready for tomorrow. Good afternoon, podcast listeners everywhere. Welcome to After the Bell, a Stunt Brothers production. A podcast that gets inside the life of a teacher and provides a wellness guide for being prepared to take on this most challenging of professions. I'm Martin Stuvel.
And I'm Roy Hunt. And we share your pain, having taught a combined 70 years. The guarantee of this podcast is to make you laugh, make you think, and give you at least one little nugget that you can use in the classroom. So get out your marking, organize your supplies, or just pour yourself a coffee.
I want something stronger.
And listen, engage, and interact with After the Bell, a podcast for you, the hard-working, dedicated teacher who wants free lesson plans, free advice, and a free meal.
Okay, Roy, but I'm not paying for anything more than McDonald's. Well, Mr. Hunt, here we are, episode number 6.
Episode number 6, and we're still talking to each other.
Yeah, we're still in this box. We're still talking, and we have another show to do. This is always a great pleasure for me.
I look forward to this all the time.
Absolutely. So, you doing well?
Doing well. The weather's changed a bit.
It has as we head towards the winter, and, there's certainly not a lot going on in the garden.
Okay.
Right? And I know you always want to ask about my zucchinis. I know It's the hot topic of discussion, but they're now done.
All right.
They are done. So I'm just simply winterizing the garden and getting my tubers out, dig them out, dry them out, and put my tubers in a box.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that's the hope. That's the
hope.
Even in this dark moment of our position in the sky and movement away from the sun, there's still hope.
There's still hope.
Yes.
I always like the hope.
How about you?
Well, now that you've mentioned winterizing and boxes, I guess it's the idea. At home in our garage, I have 4 boxes of materials that I brought back from the school when I retired.
Yes.
And I need to take a look at them. I know that inside some of those boxes are old lesson plans, some books, and I'm pretty sure that I may have taken some silverfish from the school.
There's your retirement gift right there.
I'm happy that they're in the garage right now.
Yeah, I have a few of those boxes too, probably around 4. I did a pretty good job organizing my boxes at school. I had many boxes after 33 years, but I narrowed it down to 4 that I, got here in the summer and said, I'll look at those, but I have not yet approached opening them up, knowing I'll probably find lesson plans from 1989 in there, right?
Well, I can remember purging a box of materials, and in the box, there were copies from a spirit duplicator.
I remember those. I think they were called Gestetler, I believe was the name, right? And it had that blue color to the print, the carbon
blue
part.
Carbon copy.
Right? And always a very, very strong smell.
Yes. It's the smell of alcohol, the spirit from the copies that were made. And I could remember being in the classroom when the teacher would hand them out. I'm going to say almost everybody would pick up the sheet and go.
If this was a movie, I think we'd say, I love the smell of Gestetler in the morning.
In the morning,
right?
yeah.
Right? Because it was strong, that smell.
It was very strong.
And then the other thing was always the rubber cement.
Cement.
That had a strong smell, and we would make these little bouncy balls out of them and do all kinds of other things that you can't do anymore because those products will not be found in your average student's desk. Not allowed, right?
Yes, for sure.
So there are some safety standards that I think we do adhere to now that didn't happen in the past.
I agree.
Many teachers will hear the word box, and I think they might get a little alarmed.
I think it would be a trigger for some.
Because they'll know they have those boxes.
Listening to this and then looking and saying, I have in those cupboards or a whole bunch of boxes up on the top of the shelf or a whole bunch of boxes. In storage, I have a whole bunch of boxes.
Boxes everywhere.
That's right. And what do I do with them?
And I think the younger teachers are probably listening and laughing right now because they're going, we don't have boxes. We have memory sticks, USBs. You keep it in the cloud, save it on the desktop. Well, my friends.
Those are all boxes.
They're still boxes,
they are.
Right? They're just digital boxes, but they're still boxes, right? And we've seen some desktops that can be quite cluttered and maybe need a little organizing as well.
Yep.
And those are the boxes of life that as a teacher you tend to accumulate, whether they're digital, whether they're physical boxes.
Yeah. So I'm sensing a theme here.
I think we've hit on the theme of today's episode, Mr. Hunt. I think it's boxes, right? And, those boxes could be physical boxes like we're talking about.
Yeah.
But you'll like this. They could also be metaphorical boxes.
Oh, yes.
So we will get into those boxes and all the types of boxes in the life of a teacher in today's episode. There's that sound.
That's right. It's time for the golden nugget.
And Mr. Hunt, tell us what the golden nugget is.
The golden nugget is a takeaway, something that a teacher can use, an idea or a plan that they can use in the classroom in the hopes of making their working life easier.
Right. One small thing that they
One
can
small
take,
thing
right?
that they
That's
can
not going to change the world, but hopefully will make their day go a little easier.
That's right.
And their year. And we've been talking about boxes. So I'm guessing today's nugget will connect to boxes. Am I right?
And it does.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking is once we get through, or a teacher gets through the reporting period, first report card, second report card, and the final report card, once they get through that, oftentimes they will put materials away to bring out...
Because they're exhausted and they just, right?
and put materials away to bring the next new curriculum area that they're going to start for the second term or the third term.
Right.
And in that, what I'm thinking is it would be great to have an opportunity to get a box of that material or a file, a digital file would
They
work.
could do the desktop, right?
The
they
desktop
go through and
file.
organize some of their files at the same time. But I like that because often, and it's hard, I know, if you've done your report cards and you just want to be done and move on to the next thing. But that's why if you just set one box aside that you deal with, that's the box that's now done, and you put the date on it, right?
Yes.
Or if it's your file folder on your desktop or in the cloud, you could make sure the date is on that folder, and you've done that. And it's just a little step, one by one, so that you're not left to do the whole job, say if you're moving schools or if you're retiring.
That's right. And one of the problems in not doing this ongoing, and some people naturally do it, but I believe that with the kind of jobs that we have, that there's very little time to do it because we're always moving forward. But being able to take that time is going to provide us with the opportunities to do it now instead of taking a long time. So ongoing assessment of materials that we have, and it'll make our lives much easier.
I agree. And I think these are these moments where sometimes you think, people are going to hear this and go, well, come on, I organize my boxes all the time. And what are they talking about? So obviously we are not talking to you in this moment, but we know, knowing how hard this job is, I always was one. I'm a very organized person. But in the teaching job, it's so easy to get lost in all that and not just do things small steps at a time.
That's
and you
right.
get less overwhelmed. So it really is our advice and our nugget
to
take one box, one per term. This is an ongoing thing that you do throughout the year and throughout your teaching time. But then you're done. You keep track of it, put the date on it, do the same with your files on your computer.
What's that sound?
What's that sound? We've been talking about boxes, and I know this sound means the homework board, and we often go on field trips. Are we going on a field trip
There's
this time?
no field trip this time.
No field trip,
field
Mr.
trip.
Hunt. Oh.
But in this homework board,
So we have homework.
we have homework.
Okay.
I know you're not very happy about this,
Okay.
but it's homework with other people.
Okay.
So
Well, what's the plan?
the plan is to have a purge party.
That sounds like a horror film.
it
The Purge party.
does, but it's not.
Okay,
And
okay.
actually could be very good. So the challenges for the homework board is for teachers to connect with people that they platoon with, or
Grade level?
a grade
perhaps?
level
Okay.
cohort,
Yes.
and take that one box, take that one file, digital file or physical file, and just get together.
Do it with other people.
And do it with other people.
I like that because when we talked about the nugget, sometimes we also talked about how you're exhausted at that point of view. So maybe the idea of the purge is to make it a fun activity rather than just a drag activity, right?
And, oftentimes when we look at things and say, I'm not going to use this anymore, there are other people, and I'm thinking more so oftentimes it's younger teachers or people or teachers who are starting a new grade level and are missing out on some materials to start that new grade
Right,
level. And
right.
until they get to a point where they feel really comfortable, I believe that anything that they can get that would be a good unit
Yeah.
or a digital copy of
Just
something.
don't give them the silverfish.
No silverfish.
Okay.
No silverfish. But that can really help out. And I even thought when I was retiring and I had all the materials that I had in my room, I was just thinking, no one would like them. I mean, they're old, but actually they weren't as old as I thought they were.
Mm-hmm.
And what I was
Except for that map from 1983.
Yes.
No one wanted that one. USSR.
Yes. But the idea of being offering up materials in my classroom at the end of the day to anyone who wanted them, I'm going to say at least 3/4 of the materials that I had in my room were given a second life through new teachers that were in the school. I believe that it's an important thing to share those resources. Oftentimes we paid for them.
That's right.
And they are still of use to some people.
And I'm guessing, because we've talked about how important it is to make connections in this job with our students and our colleagues, that having a purge party is going to open up more connections with some of your colleagues.
Yes.
Discover some of the units they're doing, some of the things they're doing, because at the end of the day, I've often thought the best professional development is learning what my colleagues do at the school. And this is a chance to see that in their terms of their program and their units and those kind of things. And it does it in not in a forced way, a workshop way, just a nice, relaxed, easy way.
The problem with this might be that the people who are looking forward to purging might end up with more materials than they started with.
So this was supposed to be like, you went in with one box. And now
Come up with two.
I listened to the Stunt Brothers, and they talked about reducing my boxes, and now I've got 10 when I had one, right? So,
Yeah.
Any solutions for that? What are you thinking of that one?
You take it if you need it.
Choose wisely.
Choose wisely.
Right? Yeah, and that's the thing. You're getting rid of things you no longer use, and only take things that you think you will use, right? But be open to that, and it just could reinvigorate your materials. So, looking up on the homework board, I see purge party. That makes me feel a little less anxious than when I thought of homework.
It's metaphor time.
What is going on? You have not put this one past me yet. What this?
It's a new segment that I've created.
Is this the Roy Hunt show?
Well, no, but it is metaphor time, and I'd like to try.
You like your metaphors, I know
do
that.
like my metaphors, and here's the title for you.
Oh, you've thought about this new segment.
I have 3 titles for you.
And you've got titles for it.
I've got titles.
Okay.
Here we go.
Mr. Hunt's magical metaphors.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that one. How about
Metaphorical metaphors.
So it's a metaphor for a metaphor?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. Try again.
Metaphorical musings.
You've put a lot of thought into this, haven't you?
We can work on a new title.
I like the idea of metaphors. Yeah, I know you like your metaphors. And we've been talking about a box. So, do you have one to share?
So
with
in
today?
this metaphor, we're talking about creating a toolbox for our students.
Oh, that's
right?
what we do, right? It's
And-
what we do.
And it's what teachers do, as you're right. And the idea is, as we work with our students, we're looking at the tools that they can acquire through our assistants and maybe through the assistance of our LSTs or our support services, something that works for them. So there's nothing worse than saying, you do this and this will help you. And if it doesn't help, it's not.
It needs to work for the teacher.
It needs to work. So it needs to be a tool.
Yeah.
And so as teachers, we create a toolbox, and in that toolbox are the tools that we're hoping that our students will take to help them have success throughout their elementary school career and into high school.
So this is really about a toolbox, not the teacher's toolbox.
Not the teacher's
You're
toolbox.
thinking a toolbox that the students can then all have. Is that
Yes.
kind of what? Oh, I see.
So,
yeah, to sound
and
clear.
sometimes the tools for many students will be the same, and then for some students it'll be completely different.
Right.
But what we're doing along the way is helping students to realize that this works for them.
Right.
And so this level of organization or this specific thing helps me to have success. So creating a toolbox for our students.
Right.
And it gets built on every year, and
And it could change,
it can change, but creating a toolbox is really important to help our students realize success in the future. And so when they say, "Oh, I don't know how to do this," they think about the tools
You think about the tools they could have to make
they could have, or
themselves
the tools
successful.
that we've provided them with.
I think that's a wonderful metaphor for the students to use as well, right?
Yes.
To actually present that metaphor to them and talk about, look in your toolbox and you know that worked for you, right? So
Yes.
try it again. And if it didn't work, let's think of something else we
Let's
could
find
do.
something different.
Yeah. No, I like the idea of metaphors in terms of boxes for the toolbox. But when I first heard you do your, hey, let's do a metaphor voice and try to come up with something, I was thinking of the metaphor of actually how we often put people in a box.
Yes.
Right? But more when I think of students, sometimes we put them in a box and we shouldn't actually,
Yes.
right? And I'm thinking of those situations where you've been told about a student that you're just getting in September, and maybe you've been told too much, right? It's
Yes.
important. You obviously have to know the IEPs, and there's certain things you need to know about students to meet their needs.
To help
right?
them meet their needs.
Absolutely.
Yes, to help meet
so
their
I'm not
needs, yes.
discounting that. I'm talking about sometimes when you get too much information from last year's teacher, and then that shapes how you think of that student, right?
Yes.
It's almost self-fulfilling. If you think they're going to be a behavior problem or there's issues, often it becomes that way. Where if you can discover them for yourself, then you're opening them up to all new possibilities. And I believe you did the same as me. In September, I would always tell my students, this is a fresh start.
Yes.
Right? I am not going to go back to last year's teacher. And obviously there were some things I had to.
Yes.
Right? But my overall statement to them was to reassure them that you're all, to me, top of your game, right?
Top of the game,
and
new
that's
slate.
Right? And I'm going to treat you that way. And I could see some of them would physically relax, actually.
Yes.
You see that stress of some new students when they have a new teacher and they're checking you out and they don't know what the situation is. But for some of them to know that they are starting fresh and they won't be prejudged, I mean, we all want that, right?
We all do.
We're all
Yes.
stuck with that sometimes, that maybe something happened we're prejudged for. We all want a fresh start. So my metaphor that I think of with boxes is to not put people in a box, not put students in a box right away, right? Discover for yourself in September about the students and then start building that toolbox that you talked about. And of course, reach out for support wherever needed.
Yes.
And that's the sound of rearview mirror. That's when we look into the past and see where we came from. Often it's to do with teaching, but our theme has been boxes. So,
Yes.
So Mr. Hunt, why don't we just do some facts on boxes?
Okay.
You got some?
I do.
Okay.
The largest box ever made
Uh-huh.
was 22,000 pounds.
Wow, what was in that box?
And it was made for a statue.
Okay, wow. Michelangelo did his David and put it in the box and shipped
Maybe.
it off, I guess. Wow. Well, have you ever heard of Sir Malcolm Thornhill?
No, I haven't.
Well, he was from England, and in 1817, he made the first corrugated box. Yeah,
Well,
out of cardboard.
all right. The average North American uses 65 boxes a year,
Wow.
but that's not including Amazon deliveries and, teachers
Probably
use a lot of
retired
boxes.
teachers and
Retired
teachers. Yeah, I
Yes.
think so. You're absolutely right. If you're really loving this topic on boxes and you want more, I got a museum for you. It's the Musée Cartonnage, and it is in Paris, and it's a museum dedicated to boxes and packaging. True fact.
All right. That's a hard pass for me.
Not going to do that one, eh?
That's not going to do it.
Got another one for us?
Yeah, I do. Cardboard boxes are made from renewable resources, making them environmentally friendly.
Wow, that's a good one because I have one to end with, and that's a recycling one. If you recycle 1 ton of corrugated cardboard, it will save 100 liters of oil, 4,000 kilowatts of electricity, 17 trees, and 7,000 liters of water. Not so bad.
And you can put those facts in a box.
Nice. And we are stuck in this box where we do our podcast, and we're still talking.
And we're still talking to
Another
each
great
other.
episode, Roy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, listeners. This podcast is organic, taking shape with each episode. Building resiliency for teachers everywhere.
That sounds great.
And our website is stuntbrothers.ca.
That's stuntbrothers.ca.
We will chat again
after the bell.